はい、ちょっと高いんだ。
机がね、本当はちょっとね、皆さんダメっていうことが分かりまして。じゃあお写真撮る方いらっしゃったら前の方どうぞお進みになってください。クローズアップさせたりと3人ちょっとクローズアップ撮らせていただいてもよろしいですか。ちょっと真ん中の方に。よ
ろしくお願いします。
Welcome to our press conference at the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan. My name is Teddy Jimbo. I'm a co-chair of this committee that organizes all media events at this club, and I'm a moderator today. And we have a very important press conference today by 4 distinguished speakers. I'm going to just briefly introduce all of them. And then we'll have each of them speak briefly, and then floor will be open for Q&A. Okay, my immediate right is Mr. Jo San-han. I was told that in English it's pronounced Jo San-han, but in Japanese, I guess you write it in katakana, Kyo San-han. So either way, whichever you prefer, but I was told to pronounce Jo San-han in English. And anyway, he is a former police officer in Myanmar, and he has fled to Japan while he was in training. He was undergoing training in Thailand last year. And now he resides in Japan as a refugee, but he knows a lot about the reality of the human rights violations under the junta military rule in Myanmar. And he told me that this is the first time that he will ever speak before the press after his leaving Myanmar. So this is, I think, very significant press conference. And the next right is, I think he's a kind of familiar face at this club. The Kitazumi-san, he was arrested. He has an experience of being detained in Myanmar. He's a journalist, Yuki Kitazumi. Okay, and then the next right is also he's been here with us before, Toru Kubota. He's a documentary filmmaker, and he was also detained by military in Myanmar, and he spoke at this club right after his release and returned to Japan. And we have another speaker on Zoom, which is on the screen right now. His name is Sean Turnell. He's a former economic advisor to Aung San Suu Kyi, and he's speaking from Australia now. So those 4 people will speak first. And Kitazumi-san, so Mr. Kitazumi will speak first, and then Mr. Kubota, and then and Mr. Turnell, and then we have Jo San-han make a brief comment first. じゃあ北住さんよろしくお願いします。英語でいいんだっけ全部みんな2人ともね。Okay. So and they all speak in English. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Jimbo and all the reporters here. Yes, my name is Yuki Kitazumi, the reporter. I have been in 7 years in Yangon and arrested just 2 months after the military coup in 2021. Yes, I just speak very briefly here today about my experience. The February in 2021, my house in Yangon was raided by the joint troops of Myanmar military and the Myanmar police force. And I have detained in the insane prison for 1 month. Yeah, and I was released after 1 month. However, in my experience, I feel the police officers or the military officers in region is also a human being. Even the military officer who arrested me is also the human being, and he has an emotion. And I don't feel they're the cyborg or robot or something like that. So that today, Mr. Cho Sang-han is the very the good example for the officers who are thinking about their future of the country and act very bravely. So please listen about his speech. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kubota.
Thank you for coming to this press conference. My name is Toru Kubota, freelance documentary filmmaker, and I was arbitrarily arrested by the Myanmar junta last year when I was filming the pro-democracy protest happening in Yangon, in the street of Yangon. I did not go through physical violence myself by the military soldier during the investigation, but I was surrounded by the violent military soldiers who have pointed a rifle at me when they arrest me. I want to emphasize the fact that I was falsely accused and sentenced to 10 years in prison for the crimes that I did not commit. Because I was filming from the location about 50 meters away from the protesters. I was not participating in them. However, during the investigation, I clearly remember that I was forcibly ordered to hold a banner that the arrested protesters were holding. They forcibly made us look like the perpetrators. They fabricated the evidence that they charged me the sedition charge, which was not true. The testimony by Mr. Cho Sang-han will be extremely valuable in terms of revealing how such wrongdoing are carried out by the junta. And I believe it's crucial for the international community to condemn it, to improve. It's crucial to improve the human rights situation that is becoming worse and worse in Myanmar. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Tano?
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you
go
very
ahead.
much, mate. Thank you to all the journalists at the Foreign Correspondents Club. It's a very great honour to be talking to you today at this wonderful institution. It's also an incredible honour to be talking with Toru, with Yuki, and above all, with Jo Sang-han. And I guess what I wanted to say right at the very outset, and I think this will emerge as a theme, as both Yuki and Toru mentioned, that in Jo Sang-han, we actually have a genuine hero, a real one. You know, we don't see them so often in life, I think, you know, and sometimes it's in Hollywood movies and so on. But in Jo Sang-han, I know in my personal circumstance, He went to incredible lengths at extraordinary risk to himself to help me, to advise me, and nothing gave me greater pleasure when I was finally released. So I was a political prisoner as well. So I was economic advisor to Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, arrested on the 6th of February 2021, and I never got out until the 18th of November, or the 17th of November 2022 with Toru. Which I shall mention again in a moment, but just to say I experienced all of that, but Jaw San Han was incredibly helpful to me. He was with me only very briefly at the start of my arrest. I wish I'd listened more to him. He gave me wonderful advice, which I partly listened to, but in my distress and panic and all that, probably didn't listen enough, to be honest, to his advice. This is not a book plug, I hasten to add, but I just want to point out how much, again, how much I value Jaw San Han. So my book on my experience, this thing called Unlikely Prisoner, has just come out. But there's a photograph I just wanted to show you, if I may. I've got some photographs of that. Actually, that's not coming out very well. Apologies for that. I've got the blur function on, and anyway, I had some photos of Insane Prison, which is the most extraordinary looking place, but I also have a photo of Jaw San Han, but it's the one that you guys have got there at the Correspondence Club, but also a picture that Jaw San Han sent me, which was a picture of me in this very tiny space where I was imprisoned right at the beginning, that I call in the book, I call it the box. And Jaw San Han was around at that time interpreting for me and trying to help me. So I certainly echo the points that Yuki made right at the beginning as well, just to say that the Myanmar, so many regular police and other people in Myanmar, of course, have got nothing to do with this awful junta that's now ruling the country. And they're the first victims, you know, along with the people of Myanmar more broadly. So just to echo those points. But I think, you know, we have in Jaw San Han an example not only of that, not only of a good policeman at the time as he was, but also a wonderful human being, a genuine hero. So it's just immensely pleasing to me will be in a moment to see him again. And likewise Toru, I don't want to go past by saying that the last time I saw Toru was exactly 1 year ago when we were being transported to Yangon airport together to be released. So yeah, but I ended up nearly spending 2 years there, in the prison, that is. Just a final comment, if I may, and I want to leave plenty of time for questions, so I won't go on too much longer. But just to say that, you know, the recent news out of Myanmar is both good and bad. It's incredibly savage. As we know, this junta is brutal beyond belief. But one of the reasons for their brutality, of course, is that they're increasingly desperate. And I think people will have seen a lot of the news about how they've suffered a great number of military defeats. But with my economist hat back on, can I just say we can see the evidence of that on the economic front at the moment. And I'd sort of draw people's attention to the desperate struggle of Myanmar's junta to capture foreign exchange as much as they can. It's really the only economic policy they have at the moment to grab as much foreign exchange as it can be, as they can. And they're exploiting Burmese workers overseas and doing all sorts of things to do that. But just to say, you know, if one was looking for evidence that this regime in Myanmar is on the back foot and on the way out, we can look at economic and financial data as well as some of the more traditional military stories. So I'll stop there because I'm anxious to hear from Jaw San Han, as I'm sure we all are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tonell. Mr. Jaw San Han, please. どうぞ.
Thank you very much, all. Yeah, I'm so sad hearing Mr. Kubuta, Mr. Yuki, and Professor Sean arrested unfairly and imprisoned in Myanmar. And I'm also very sad to tell about me, my story, and my family story, but I have to tell about this to let the world know what happened with me and my family. Can I show the slide?
Sure. パワポに書いていただけますか、画面を。
はい。
フル画面でお願いします。
これで NEXT バック。
はい。ありがとうございます。So I would like to start with my fear in politics. So, as you already know, in Myanmar, we cannot speak out about politics. We cannot speak out democracy. And my family and I grew up with great fear speaking about democracy and politics. Because there is very serious threat and punishment for speaking out democracy and politics in Myanmar. So in this picture, I would like to show you my condition in cyclone Nagit in 2008, where I was in the center of the cyclone. I could barely alive and survive in the cyclone. As you see, I was like in these corridors. So this picture is from the movie named The Impossible. So I had to hug the big tree overnight to survive. And then I have to be in small village for a few days and finally could reunion with my family in my native town. My family thought that I was dead in the cyclone because there were more than 1,300 people were dead in the Nagis, which is the deadliest cyclone of the 21st century. So in 2015, my beloved mom passed away. She was dead because of the bad digital system. She was just 43 years old. And I could not save her. I could not protect her. In 2010 to in 2015, I was one of the exchange police cadets out of 4 at the Royal Police Cadet Academy in Thailand. And you can see this is the graduation group photos of we call RPC in short. And there were another 3 Myanmar police officers who graduated together with me. But just me stand up for democracy, oppose the military gender. The rest, they are serving for the military gender. And my family and I became their enemies to arrest, to persecute and kill. And you can see these Myanmar police officers got promoted recently on the Myanmar Police Force Day on 1st October to a higher rank, a higher position, because of serving Myanmar military gender and regime. But for me, they are trying to arrest me and my family because standing up for democracy and then oppose the brutal Myanmar gender and regime. So there are another 4 Myanmar police officers who completed RBCA. They are also serving for Myanmar military gender. And the 3rd class are currently studying at RBCA so far. I attended many international law enforcement international law enforcement meetings and trainings to be a good police officer, to save good people, to be a good law enforcement officer, supported by the United States of America or many democracy countries. So some of them are the International Law Enforcement Academy of Bangkok. We call ILEA in short. And this is the graduation ceremony at ILEA and United Nations Conference Center, Bangkok. So there were many law enforcement agencies attended this kind of trainings. So we would like to be a good police officers and law enforcement officer to serve for our democracy, governments, and to protect good people from the bad people. And in 2018 to 2019, I was the Australian Scholarship Awardee to study Master of Arts in International Relations in Australia. And I really appreciate the Australian government to support me to have stronger democracy mindset, to make contribution to our society, to our country development, to protect good people. And after I finished my master's degree in Australia, I returned to Myanmar and I tried to share democracy mindset and give awareness, raising awareness to the Myanmar police officer to change their mindset, to have knowledge about human rights, to protect good people. So this picture is at Detective Police Training School before the military coup and until after military coup. It was a 6-month training course in Insein, Yangon. At the time, there was a general election in November 2020. So for being a police officer, we have a huge risk to vote for the LND party, for the democracy. Not just for the police officer, but also for their family members. So we could not dare enough to vote for LND party. But personally, I took that risk to vote for LND, for the democracy in Myanmar. But as all of you already know, the military junta, they didn't accept the election result. They took the power illegally. They arrest our democracy leaders, Daw San Suu Kyi, and our president, and also arrested the Professor Shaun Daniel unfairly. So I was in the Detective Police Training School, and at the time, Professor Shaun Daniel was arrested. I was the first interpreter for him. I was so shocked when I saw him because his condition was so bad. He was treated badly by the bad police officers. So I tried my best to save his life in the CID inauguration room. And I bravely and confidentially took this picture to let the world know that how bad he was in this bout and how he suffered a lot in the bout. And I was so afraid, I was so worried about him all the time since I saw him in this bout. He could not survive without any support, without any help. And no one could help him. And no one knew where he was, even Australian embassy, because everything was confidential. So for me, I'm trying to make everything for his release as quickly as possible, and then back to Australia to reunion with his family. So I made a report to the Chief of Police, to the Ministry of Home Affairs, to release him as quickly as possible. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have any mistakes. But finally, after a few days, the Chief of Police or the gender leader, they didn't like me. They changed another interpreter. And they have so many suspicions on me. That's why I help him too much. And they try to force me to get serious and sensitive information from Professor Shaudane to jail him and to give punishment to him. And they could kill him in the prison after they get serious and enough information from him. So that is very sensitive and very VIP case for my entire life. And after they changed another interpreter, I decided I had to flee Myanmar, because if they knew about these details, they will arrest me and my family members who are in the police apartment in Naypyidaw and under their control as a hostage. So after my training course, I have to return to Naypyidaw, which is the capital city of Myanmar. During that time, I attended many international meetings. So the Australian government requested in every meeting to release Professor Shaudane as soon as possible. I made many reports to the Chief of Police and Minister of Home Affairs about his release. So finally, they assigned me to be a security team leader instead, because they no longer want me to involve in Professor Shaudane's case. So I was a duty team leader for 4 months, and they told me to arrest any protest or protester to use the gun and the real bullet. But I refused to arrest any protester. I ignore whenever I see the protest or the protester. So finally, they tried to arrest me being a watermelon. So we call watermelon who love democracy and support democracy inside by being a government official. So I had to make a confidential plan to make my family out of Myanmar, and then I followed them to Thailand later. So in the Professor Shaudane books, Professor Shaudane books, so he mentioned me, in his book, how I briefly took a picture and then saved his life. So I highly recommend you to read his book to know how bad the gender, the Myanmar dictator is, and then how he suffered during his arrested in Myanmar. And this is the picture I took for him. And then I saved his picture in my phone safe file until he released. And I finally recovered this picture and I sent it to him. And then I recommend you to read this book, and then you can know every information about the brutality of Myanmar gender. So when I tried to free Myanmar, so firstly, I could flee to Australia, where I did my master's degree, and Australian government supported me to be a good police officer with democracy mindset. However, I saw this news on the Facebook by encrypted media that digital mail line gave a threat, serious threat to Australian ambassador not to provide any protection visa or any humanitarian protection to military or police personnel in Australia. Otherwise, he won't release Professor Shaundane. So when I saw this news, I was so worried about Professor release. So I was patiently waiting for his release. And then I tried to flee to Australia when he released in November last year. But for some reason, I have to come to Japan. So Australia, Professor Shaundane release was my main reason and main priority because I involved in his case deeply and I cried since the first time I saw him in the bad condition because he could barely survive and alive in the prison in Myanmar. So finally, I would like to request something very important. So now Professor Shaundane and a lot of good people call me a hero police captain, taking huge risks to save good people, to help people and democracy. But now, as I mentioned you earlier, my family in Thailand is under serious stress and grave danger. So I would like to request the Australian government to save my family's life. And I'm really proud of what I have done for the democracy in Myanmar and for Professor Shaundane's life and standing for democracy. As I mentioned you earlier that, so now there is a strong relation and protective cooperation between Myanmar Police Force and Thai police. So that is why my family and I are always worried about my family's safety in Thailand. And now military gender and regime, they are trying to arrest my family in Thailand as a hostage to get me back to Myanmar. So please save my family's life. And I highly and strongly request Australian government to save my family's life. I would like to show this sign of save my family life. So I hope that Australian government hear my voice and know my story to save my family lives. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for riveting speech, and thank you all of you, including Mr. Tonell in Australia. Okay, we're going to go to Q&A. There is one microphone set up here, so please raise your hand, and if you're designated, come forward and cite your name and affiliation if there's one. And please just ask one question each. If there's a time, you will have a second chance to ask more questions, but let's limit to one question each first. Okay, anyone? Okay, well, you guys consider the questions. Let me just start out. Mr. Joe Sahanan, so you were calling for the Australian government to accept your family as a refugee? Is that the goal? And also, for those who don't understand sort of a dynamism, why is your family in danger while they are in Thailand? And exactly who are your family? You know, who are the members of your family anyway? Okay.
Yeah. So I have lost my mom already. So I have my dad and my siblings. And they are in Thailand. No government can protect him. No government can protect them. And you know, military agenda, Myanmar military agenda, they want to get my family back. So there are a lot of Myanmar police officers and military personnel. They make announcement to arrest my family and then to kill them because I am their enemies. And as you know, being a special liaison police officer for many years between Myanmar Police Force and Royal Thai Police, I'm deeply involved in many bilateral meetings and trainings. So just me out of 8 stand up for democracy and oppose the Myanmar military agenda. So they really want to get me back to Myanmar. And since once I arrested or my family arrested, we will get persecuted to death. And the only thing I can help my family is to request a protection from the Australian government, where I did my master's degree supported by Australian government. And I had no other protection, and I don't know how to request protection for my family apart from Australian government. That is why now I strongly request Australian government to save my family life. They need to resettle in Australia because they are very worried their safety every day. And me too, I could not be happy or be confident for my family's safety. Yes.
I understand that you are granted a refugee status here in Japan. Have you considered or even have you tried to get the same status for your family in Japan? Have you made any request with the Japanese government?
So firstly, I understand that my family members are not my direct family members, like my wife or children. So they are my dad and my siblings. So I'm not sure if they are eligible or not. And secondly, so they feel to settle in Australia because they will feel more confident and they will feel more I don't know how to mention it, but due to some reasons, it would be better if they could settle in Australia.
Okay. Anyone for a question? Not yet. Okay. Well, we have 2 journalists at the front table. So, how about Kitazumi-san, Kubota-san? If you think there's any good questions to be asked to your friend.
Yeah, thank you very much. And your experience is very rare for the reporters here and for me. Yes, I want to ask your experience in the Myanmar Police Force. Some of them is the fleet and leave for the CDM. However, here it is difficult, and in your case, of course it is difficult. So please explain the difficulty if the soldier or policeman try to leave the police force. Why it is difficult? How it is difficult? So please explain about it.
since after military coup happened, so good police officer would like to join CDM movement because we don't agree the military coup. However, they control police officer by using fear with our family members. So my family were in the police apartment in Nebido. If I oppose the brutal Myanmar agenda, they will arrest my family easily, and they will get me, and they will kill all of us. So that fear makes us not to oppose the military agenda, not to stand up for democracy. So not just for me, but we have to care about our family members who are in the hand of brutal Myanmar agenda. So that is the main reason why many good police officers or military personnel could not oppose the brutal Myanmar agenda. So that is why I plan confidentially to take my family out of Myanmar after I save Professor's life, because that is the main reason make me to free Myanmar as quickly as possible with my family members. Otherwise, there is no possibility to free Myanmar and then to speak here today.
Okay, how about Mr. Kubota?
How do you, because there is, especially recently, there's information leakage about the high-ranked military officers, personnel arrested, and also there are more and more military soldiers in the battlefields surrendered and joining the democracy forces. Why do you think this is happening, and what do you know about a division and crackdown of the junta inside? And do you think there are more and more watermelons like you who might not have able to speak up like you, but still working for democracy inside?
So since in 2021, after military coup, so there were so many international pressure. And then I participated in many international meetings, including Professor Chandana's release meeting. So we made many meeting reports. So in the report, yeah, I suggested to release Professor Chandana's as quickly as possible. So some that kind of meeting reports make the chief of police or Ministry of Home Affairs get less trusted on the junior government officials like me. And some meeting reports leak to the media. So they do not trust their junior officer or even their same rank or higher rank senior officials. So inside, they don't trust to each other. And they trying to inform the Myanmar dictator Min Aung Hlaing about their colleagues or about their inside problem. So one who can inform Min Aung Hlaing as quickly as possible with evidence, with enough evidence. So that one win to take another down. That is why now so many meeting or confidential orders leak to media, and it made many senior police officers or even military officers get to the jail. They got trouble because inside them, they don't trust each other.
I see. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, please come forward. And please just cite your name and affiliation.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Peter Morris, and normally I'm a lawyer, but I also write for Asia Times about Myanmar. So thank you all for your bravery, and thanks for organizing this today, FCCJ. So my question is, people often say that there are strong ties between the Thai military and Burmese military, but what about the police? Could you explain more about the relationship between the Thai police and the Burmese police force? And also, I mean, related to that, what do you think about the potential for cooperation between Thai police and Burmese police on the issue of the cyber slavery and scamming and stuff like that? I mean, now probably Burmese police is not a high priority for them. Maybe it never was, but let's say going forward, let's say after the revolution wins, what do you think about the potential for rebuilding the police and addressing the issue of cyber, the scamming and slavery and stuff like that?
So yeah, I would explain you a little bit about Ryan Thai Police Academy, where I attended for 4 years, plus Thai language 1 year. So we were the first class of Myanmar Police Force history there to boost, to improve two-country cooperation. So we attended the Ryan Thai Police Academy together with Thai police officer for 4 years. So that made us had a good and a strong cooperation between two police forces. And now, second class has finished already, and the third class is studying at the moment. So they will improve cooperation, bilateral cooperation, more and more under the Myanmar gender administration. So Thailand is a neighboring country of Myanmar, and then there are many Myanmar labours and Myanmar democratic activities in Thailand. So most of them are illegal in Thailand. So Myanmar police, they trying to get all of them back to Myanmar by requesting Thai police. Yeah. So arresting criminals is two countries' cooperation, but now arresting Myanmar democracy activists is another mission to do. That is why they will improve their cooperation more and more. But for NUG government, now it's very difficult to get cooperation with Thai government and the Thai police force. So Myanmar Project Jana is in power to have cooperation with Thai police force and Thai government more than national unity government. So hopefully, if this revolution, after this revolution, for energy government can have more cooperation with Thai government and Thai police force, not like Myanmar police right now, arresting good people, requesting to arrest good people in Thailand and send back to Myanmar, directly or indirectly.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. And also, if you have a question for Mr. Tunnel, please feel free to ask.
Sure, thank you. My name is Mara Bhajan from the Japan Times. My question is more focused on Japan, so perhaps not for Mr. Turnell, but for anyone who's present here. So, how long have you been in Japan, Jo-san Han? And sorry.
Nearly 11 months. Yes,
Okay.
since December 2022.
Okay, so I mean, as we know, Japan doesn't accept many refugees or doesn't grant many people refugee status. But of the people it does, quite a few of them are from Myanmar. And so I was wondering, what are you finding in Japan? Is there activism within or mobilization within the community of Myanmar refugees and foreign nationals? And sort of how is the Myanmar community in Japan advocating or pushing for democracy back home? And this question is also open to Mr. Kubota and sort of everyone here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
So the question concerns about how Japan's accepting refugees, and also how the Myanmar refugee and immigrants community in Japan is advocating for democracy. First, the first question, as you mentioned, Japan does not recognize many refugees, including people from Myanmar. I first met Mr. Cho Sang-han in last February. He could not say much about himself. He just talked to me in English, and he just explained that he just came 1 or 2 months before. This is because of the reason that Japan could not provide enough support for people, asylum seekers who's on the process of refugee recognition. This is extremely shameful as a Japanese citizen, and a huge loss for the civil society, because many people cannot speak up, because they fear about being repatriated back to the country where they fled from. I think as a democratic country, leading democratic country in Asia, Japan has a responsibility to provide freedom and the security for all those who fled from oppressed country, and that's what I believe in. As for the Burmese community in Japan, I think Mr. Kitazumi knows more about these things, but they are very active in advocating the lobbying at the Congress, requesting more pressure against the junta, also requesting the government to recognize national unity government as a offshore government of Myanmar.
Yeah, so for me, firstly, I deeply appreciate Japanese government for providing humanitarian assistance or humanitarian protection to me and Myanmar refugees here. When I first arrived here, I was so worried about my safety. As a police captain, I could not tell anyone that I am police captain who joined the CDM, because I knew that the Myanmar police force, they want to arrest me wherever I am. This is what they told me, threatened me when I was in Naypyidaw. My senior police officer has threatened me that if I stand up for democracy and oppose them, they will arrest me and my family and kill all of us. So that made me so fear to join the CDM and to oppose the military agenda. But I had to do it. And then, surely they inform the Interpol, Snapol, international police force, international law enforcement agency to arrest me in abroad. So I was so worried and scared, not just me, for my family in Thailand. I could not protect them. That is why I was very low, very down in Japan. I could not speak Japanese. and I could not know how to contact or how to do everything in Japan. Yeah. Until I was granted as a convention refugee. So now I feel more confident than before to speak out to the interviews or to the press conference. Before that, I had to be quiet. I have to be silent because I have no protection, including for my family. That is why it was very difficult for me in Japan. And then now, yeah, I feel more confident, and I deeply appreciate Japanese government giving me this confidence to overcome my fear and to speak out about democracy and how brutal Myanmar agenda did. They have no mercy. Since Naked cyclone happened, we knew that that cyclone was not avoidable, but it was predictable and preventable. These people should not be dead in that cyclone. Over 130,000 people. Yeah. The brutal Myanmar agenda, they focus on 2008 constitution, and they just focus on their country power, but not to civilian. So that is the bad gender system. My mom was a victim. And now I and my family became refugees. Be a hero police captain, I'm really proud of this. And I always choose to be a democracy police officer. Always choose to protect people, like Professor Shaudane. And I could not be silenced when I see a good civilian is in a bad situation by a bad police officer or policeman. Yeah, that is why I choose to try CDM, Stand Up for Democracy, despite there is a serious severe threat and danger to me and my family. Yeah.
Do you, are you, or is there a concern on your part that you speaking out publicly about democracy could put your family in Thailand in a greater danger?
Yes, for sure. Since I stand up for democracy, since I oppose the brutal Myanmar agenda, they are trying to arrest my family. They have already searched my home in Myanmar, and they already reported or informed the Ryan Thai police. They know my family location exactly. You know, that is very easy to get my family back to Myanmar from Thailand. Because I was a police officer, a licensed police officer who arrested criminals in Thailand and back to Myanmar. And I saved many victims in Thailand. I saved many good people. And I know how protective between Myanmar police force and Thai riot police. That is why I'm always worried, and my families are always worried about their safety. But I have to speak out about my family's safety and my family's life, because this is the only way that the Australian government can hear my voice and my story and know my petition to save my family's life.
Okay. Mr. Taunel, the Australia was mentioned a number of times as to his hope that the Australian government will take his family in Thailand. But can you just briefly put us on speed about where the Australia stands on this issue and what's happening there? Go ahead.
Yeah, certainly. So obviously representations of people like myself are being made, which is probably, best not spoken about in detail or whatever. But certainly the Australian government needs to step up a bit on this and other things. So there are people here who are trying to do exactly that. And that campaign goes on. So just to reassure on that. One of the things I did want to say is Joe San Han speaks absolutely the truth about this. It's really important to know, I think, that the Myanmar regime is not only incredibly brutal to the country's people, they've destroyed the economy, but they do try and reach out exactly as he's described. Probably people in this audience might know I myself are still subject to their desires to recapture and resentence and all the rest of it. So that they will reach out all over the place. So the danger is absolutely real. And yeah, nothing Joe San Han has said is exaggerated. And nor his role and fundamental decency, of which there's so many examples of that. I also just wanted to pass my congratulations to the Japanese government for giving us protection to Joe San Han. So I know he appreciates that, and his friends and so on appreciate that as well. And he's modest actually in his claims. Let me just put that on the record as well. So so we're all trying, but as we all know, countries are sometimes not generous. But I think in his particular circumstance, as a person, I think the Japanese government has been very generous and so on. So, but yeah, we've got to do more to appreciate other governments. And if I could just appeal to the press there, just to say one way we can protect Joe San Han and his family now is giving attention. Actually, because funnily enough, I think that's, now that he has come out into the open in this way, again in this incredibly brave way, the best thing we can do is to put the scrutiny on and to make sure that nothing bad happens. So just to suggest that I think all of us have some degree of responsibility from this point.
Okay, thank you. We are running over time, but are there still some questions? Okay, we have two hands up. So why don't you go first, and then you'll be the last one.
I have a question for Mr. Tanel.
Can you cite your name and
Yeah, my name is
please?
Shin Hara, and I'm working for Kyodo News, a Japanese newswire service.
Thank you.
I wrote a story about Kyo San Han the other day. And could you explain your relationship with Kyo San Han? What did he do for you while you were in?
Well, so much. I mean, I'd never met him before, but he was the interpreter who came to see me on the very first night that I was arrested. I was obviously in a very great deal of distress and not knowing what to do and so on. He appeared and with other police officers, but was always very nice to me, even while the other police officers were there and were not so nice. But subsequent to that, he made all sorts of assurances to me and just encouragement, gave me some very good advice, which I mentioned earlier I only partially followed. He mentioned mindset a few times in his comments, and that's absolutely correct. Joe San Han's mindset is a modern one. It's one we, people like myself would fully appreciate and so on. And that wasn't the case of some of the other officers, which is, an endemic problem in Myanmar. So, but anyway, Joe San Han reminded me of that and reminded me how I might go about answering their questions in ways that would, help me, basically. But yeah, just incredibly kind in an awful environment. It's hard to conjure it up now. Terrifying environment. This is all taking place, if I recall correctly, about 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, with the giant looming walls of Insane looking down on us. It's a horrible place. It's really terrifying, doesn't begin to describe it. It's medieval in its appearance. And you've seen that. And I might add, Joe San Han has come to my rescue again. He's come to my rescue today because he had those pictures. But the box itself was a horrific place. And the fact that he took pictures of the way I was being treated, incredible risk. Had he been found with that on his phone, let alone talking about it later and so on, he would have been treated incredibly badly by the junta. So, even the fact that he took the pictures was an extraordinary act. So, so I only first met him on the 6th of February, or would have been the 7th of February by then, 2021. He, as I mentioned, he was one of the people who saved my life and ultimately got me free.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so why don't you take the last question?
Hello, I'm Risa from Kyoto News. My question is toward Mr. Jo San-han. Sorry, thank you. If possible, can you share how you ended up in Japan, how you chose Japan, or did it happen to be Japan? If possible, can you share that? And also, how many members of your family is in Thailand right now? And I understand you're asking the Australian government for help, but what can the Japanese government do?
In my entire life, I have lived 2 countries. Apart from Myanmar, which is Thailand. I did my Royal Police Academy. And the third one is Australia, where I did my master's degree, supported by Australian government. Because of my master's degree, supported by Australian government, I got a stronger democracy mindset to help good people, to change Myanmar police mindset. And finally, I could briefly help Professor Shauna's life. So after that situation, I wish to flee to Australia because this is the only country left for me to get the protection. But due to my passport, I had official passport only. And there is also a limitation in the passport that I could travel in Asia only. The brutal Myanmar agenda, they think as long as I am in Asia, they can arrest me. Even my family members. So they think this is rich area, not far from their letter. They can request ASEAN police or in Asia. So after I training with my official passport, but Japan only could provide me a visa to come to Japan. And I arrived here and I submitted refugee application by myself. So there were very difficult times for me to study here in Japan without any Japanese or anyone I know here. So after being granted as a convention refugee, my condition was better and I feel more confident than before. So as for my family members, who are my dad, my sister, and my brothers, 5 in total now. So they are also waiting for the safe from the democracy governments. And they wish to flee to Australia because it will be far enough out of Myanmar brutal agenda reach. I hope I answered your questions.
So it's your father and 4 brothers are in Thailand, total 5.
4 siblings, 1 older sister and 3 younger brothers.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you very much. I think we are running out of time unless someone has dying to ask another question. I guess we're good. Okay. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Turnell, for participating in this press conference. And if anyone wants to contact you, what do they have to do?
I'd certainly welcome that. The usual channels, I guess, certainly Facebook and all that. I'm a senior fellow at the Lowy Institute here in Sydney, so that's probably the best way, actually.
Okay.
For people just contact me at the Lowy Institute.
Okay. And can you guys stay a little longer to exchange cards? Okay. So they will just stay on, to chat. Whoever wants to come forward. Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for coming to the press conference, and this press conference adjourned.